All right, welcome back to the show. I have a special guest here today. This is Colin, the CMO of XBorg. Right now, just before we clicked, record here, we were talking about the Bitcoin price hitting an all-time high. I'm excited to get into more about the XBG token a little later in this interview. But first, just introduce yourself. Uh, and just tell me why are you excited for XBorg right now?
Yeah, firstly, thank you so much for having me on. Big fan of the show. Um, really excited about Bitcoin doing its thing. We've been waiting for this for a while, and we kind of knew it was coming, right? So really glad to see that, and everyone's obviously quite excited about the market. We're obviously super excited about XBorg and about XBG. We have a ton of developments coming up, big partnership announcements, big app releases. So things are going great on the fundamental side. And then also with the token, it's been, we're quite happy with the performance over the last few months. So yeah, and we think there's going to be a ton of upside over the next few months as well. So looking forward to that.
Awesome, awesome. Yeah, so my first question for you is, can you describe XBorg's vision for the future of gaming and esports within the Web3 ecosystem?
Yeah, of course. So with XBorg, we really believe that player identities and data is going to be extremely important within the gaming and the esports industry over the next few years. And especially with AI progressing as fast as it is, we really believe that those two, data and identity, are going to play a massive role. So our focus for XBorg is to build a digital identity layer or network for the gaming space, and then build basically the infrastructure and the tools and some of the initial products so that developers, brands can interact with player identities and create amazing use cases with them. Um, yeah, we feel that player identity is going to be the next kind of step within the gaming sector, and we want to provide those tools, products, and infrastructure so that people can kind of leverage that identity or take advantage of it.
Yeah, yeah. When I was learning more about this, I mean, I'm not gonna lie, I kind of faded XBorg at first, and then once I started learning more about it, I got a lot more interested in it, and I think it's great. But yeah, I think it was easy for me to understand because I'm coming from this Web3 side of things. But what is XBorg's doing to I make this more appealing to the Web2 gamers, the people who are not in this in the Web3 ecosystem yet, the people who are just playing their normal traditional games. When they see XBorg, what's going to be the draw for them?
That's a great question. You know, gamers just want to play games. I think they are always looking to improve their gaming experience in any way. So for us, we don't really approach them from a heavy Web3 angle. Really, what we're trying to do is build consumer crypto apps that are have great user experiences with the blockchain technology that perhaps um, you know kind of like boosts their experience or gives them more ownership or different these kind of different features to increase their experience on the back end. um, and so you know we build like Web3 enabled consumer crypto applications with some of the biggest esports teams in the world, like Team Liquid, for example, and all of the kind of cryptos in the back end. Um, and so that's kind of how we are approaching the Web2 market. We're kind of empowering some of the biggest brands in the space who already have massive fan bases and user bases globally, but then giving them the tools so that they can understand their fans better, reward their fans better, um, because their fans are building their identity on our protocol. So that's really how we are tackling the mainstream adoption angle. I think a lot of the time in Web3, we stuck in this kind of echo chamber and there's not many. It's still a very niche market, right? Web3 and crypto, and I think um, the companies and projects that are really going to win long term are the ones that figure out, okay, how can we gain traction and adoption amongst mainstream, because that's where all the players are already, and this is how we're doing it initially.
Awesome. So tell me a little bit more about how XBorg, influences the culture of gaming and esports and really empowers the gamers themselves.
Sure. So in terms of empowering players, one when any user uses our applications, they are, you know, like for let me take the Team Liquid app for example. It's called My Blue. It's recently launched by Team Liquid, ourselves, and Miston Labs or Sui. Users like log in with their Google account or their Twitter account, and they create a wallet on the back end automatically. And so whenever they interact within the application, um, everything is being stored. Like they own their assets when they unlock different wearables, digital items, all these kind of things are NFTs. So we providing ownership of assets, but not only assets but also data. So they can they will connect their Epic Games account, their Riot Games account, and then play their favorite games, League of Legends, Call of Duty, etc. And they are building their identity and owning their data at the same time, as well as owning their assets. So there's a huge ownership angle here when it comes to empowering players. And then in terms of kind of like growing the culture amongst esports and gaming within Web3, on the brand side, like for example, I'll take the Team Liquid example again. Um, their app is called My Blue, and it's named after Blue, which is their official mascot. It's this very cute little white and blue horse, which is that's kind of their
Yeah,
logo.
I think a lot of the viewers here are going to be familiar with that because Illuvium had a partnership with Team Liquid as well. So, but yeah, I didn't know Team Liquid before that, but I'm a big fan already.
Yeah, they're actually the biggest esports team in the world. I think they've won over $50 million in tournament winnings, which is like the most ever. And so we're also helping Team Liquid like extend their IP and grow their IP through digital collectibles and items. So each user opens the app, gets a level 1 blue character, which is their avatar, and then as they play different games, support the team, do all these kind of different events, tournaments, quests, they can collect these items, which are NFTs, which have different rarities, which have different utilities, and they can customize their own blue, which is like a digital representation of their identity. So yeah, really trying to empower players, but also helping some of the biggest brands in the world navigate Web3, grow their IP and their fandom at the same time.
Okay, so help me understand how this how this works. So for example, you get the My Blue app that's from Team Liquids. Now let's say there's, I'm not too familiar with different names of esports teams, but like say three other esports teams all make a similar app using the XBorg protocol or whatever you want to call it here. So does all of that information go to a central XBorg hub, or is it all going to be separate for those different projects?
That's a great question. We work with quite a few esports teams already. So we've announced three different teams: Team BDS, Team Liquid, and Ninjas of Pajamas, which are pretty big tier one teams. We also have quite a few more teams in the pipeline um, that are we on like currently onboarding to our products at the moment. So they will each have their own separate app that they use. Some teams have like a fully customized white label app. Some teams only want a few features that we can integrate into their existing interface or these kind of things. But all of these products leverage the XBorg ID. So essentially, they are all using our tech. And at the end of the day, these users will be able to leverage their XBorg ID to have personalized experiences outside of these apps. Um, so our kind of our kind of vision is to, and this is what we've been focusing on, is scaling the protocol um, through our hero product, which is currently fully customizable white label fan applications for big esports teams and content creators, and scaling the user base that way and scaling the database that way. And then opening up the network and allowing other developers to build other use cases that leverage the ID. So games that offer personalized experiences based on who you are, um, or any kind of different app that you can connect your ID to or your wallet to, and it recognizes who you are and can provide you a unique experience, which we believe is a better experience. And so that's kind of how these apps fit into our bigger vision of building the largest player identity protocol.
Okay. So let me give you a quick scenario here. So say I join this My Blue app and they, support Illuvium. So I'm playing with Illuvium and then there's, another game that, I start getting into. But the My Blue app doesn't support it. But a different app that was created does support that new game. So now am I separating my personal gaming stats between two different places, or is there a way for those to everything to be put together?
So first of all, we integrate with like basically every single gaming platform, from Riot Games to Steam to Epic Games to Blizzard, Activision, and all the different social medias. So um, you're going to struggle to find a game that you're not going to be able to interact with on different apps and different games. But essentially, from my understanding, if you like the one app doesn't support the one game and the other does, then your ID has the information for both, but one pops up on the one side and one pops up on the other side.
Yeah. Seems like it's only a matter of time. Yeah, it's gonna keep expanding as time goes on, right? Um,
Exactly.
all right, so I want to talk a little bit about the XBG token. So, what are the core utilities of this token, and how does it enhance or change the gaming experience for the gamers?
Sure. So, for us, we've done things a bit differently at XBorg. We firstly we haven't raised against our we haven't raised. We've raised about $10 million thus far. We've from day one chose to raise with community over VCs, um, and from a very low valuation. So we've always wanted to have players owning XBorg, being able to have governance rights and decision making. We've done about 20 proposals thus far, and all of them have been quite integral, big decisions that players have decided that like the future of this protocol. We really want to build it with the community. So that's a big part of the token. I think I mentioned we didn't raise with equity at all. We only raised with the token, so that there's only one kind of value flow, and that's directly through the token, and it's not split between shareholders and token holders. And then the other big utilities are, and one I'm extremely excited about is in-app like payments. So payment flow. We're going to be integrating the XPG token into all the apps on our protocol. And I think what's really exciting about that is one, we're scaling apps up on pretty quickly, with loads of different teams that are quite big in the traditional gaming space. Two, we're moving into the creator vertical next. And so having XPG as a form of buying battle passes, skins, trading, marketplace fees, etc., is really cool. And I think it's a really tangible utility that we don't see many tangible utilities of tokens these days, which is something we need a bit more. So I'm quite excited for that. And then to take that a bit further, it will be a gas token for an app chain in the future. We'll only launch a chain if once we hit a million users. I don't think it makes sense to do that beforehand. There's a lot of ghost protocols and ghost chains out there that build the infra and then have no users. So we'll come to that when we get there.
Okay. So you mentioned governance. Can you just explain why it's important for the XBG holders to have a say in what XBorg does, and maybe a couple examples of um, what governance, what the community has been able to change, or how they led the path for XBorg as it is right now.
Sure. I think it's really important to get like player involvement in the building process of a company that is building products for players. And so that was kind of our main thesis. We didn't want. We also knew that XBorg was going to provide a ton of value, um, and we wanted that to go back to players instead of VCs who perhaps don't care as much about what we're building or about who we're building it for or why we're building it. And it's been extremely fruitful to build with the community. You have thousands of ambassadors that are your holders that want to help out and have supported from an early stage, and we co-build together, and everything is extremely transparent, and it's been really cool. um, and then, sorry, I forgot what your second part of the question was. I remember it was, you asked what are some of the things the community has
Oh
voted
yeah,
on us.
yeah. Some examples.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's a great question. So the first one that comes to mind, and it's one of the biggest ones. I think it's our biggest proposal that we made this year. Um, and what's quite nice is all of these proposals are online. You can see um, it's all on chain. You can see the voting and everything as well.
Mhm.
We so it was the XBorg improvement proposal number 14, which was quite controversial when we released it, but it was whether to launch on centralized exchanges, which was always the plan, and continue with the same tokenomics investing that we always had, or to go the DEX route and unlock all investor tokens, and launch with a much higher circulating supply and lower FDV. So the team actually did not vote at all on this proposal. We abstained. Normally, we vote on proposals, um, based on our like token holdings. The team tokens are locked, but some of us have invested in the different rounds, as we believe in the project. And yeah, community voted, it was approved, and we launched our decks only with massive unlocks, which was extremely controversial at the time. But now we've seen that one, it was quite successful, and two, that a lot of other projects were going through the same kind of, we're seeing the same issues, and have now kind of followed a similar path. I think Super Champs launched today with a pretty similar strategy to ours. So you're kind of cheering them on. And we saw Seed World, and I think Seed World went Dex route, but they didn't unlock a big chunk of the supply. So interesting to see.
Yeah, yeah. I know it was very successful. I know Lizard Labs also took some inspiration from what you guys did as well. Um, Another question I was just thinking: do you need to hold this token to be part of the ecosystem or participate in any of these apps? And I guess what would be the difference if, so say I'm logging into like this My Blue app, or getting into the XBorg ecosystem, the difference between me as a holder of the XBG token versus not holding it, how does that look like?
That's a great question. You, as a well, to use any of the apps, you don't need to hold the token at all. So we want to make it as accessible as possible, especially because our target market for our products are traditional users. Um, Token holders are really guys that are, and girls that are really believing in the project, um, and want to get involved either from a speculation angle, investor angle, governance angle, all these kind of things. Um, and so token holders will get benefits within our apps for sure. Um, and they get obviously utility from holding the token. But we wanted to make sure that on the product side, all the, and especially because we're working with these brands, like the Team Liquid app is Team Liquid's app. We provide the product and the tech and make sure they're extremely happy. But at the end of the day, they can kind of do what they want, and we can't say to them, hey, your fan base now needs to all buy XVG to use the app.
Okay. So, I mean, that's the benefits of like if one of these gamers or players is buying the token. What about if you're a developer or just an investor? What's the draw for those people to be buying the token?
I think the main one is seeing kind of how, one, you obviously betting on the gaming sector as a whole to do well. I think gaming, and a lot of people kind of feel this way, is it's one of the kind of biggest. I think it'll be one of the biggest catalysts for mainstream adoption of blockchain. Um, People speak about consumer crypto. What's more consumer centric than the gaming industry? Um, so I think it'll onboard a ton of people, and I think we saw that with Off the Grid, how quickly you can get up to 1 million users, daily active users, with a product that's really good, and that's marketed quite well. Unfortunately, their adoption or their traction kind of slowed down. I think because the game wasn't that optimized. But I think people really woke up to see how quickly gaming can adopt like onboard new users into crypto. So that's one. I think if you're really bullish on the gaming sector, you want to bet on projects that are, one, extremely innovative, um, and are fundamentally quite strong and showing good traction. And I think XBorg is one of those. So from an investor standpoint, I think that is probably the strongest, one of the strongest reasons why you would be interested in XBG. And then in a shorter, more like medium term time frame, what we've done is quite unique in terms of launching DEX only and unlocking investor tokens. When you look at the gaming sector, most of the tokens that were launched this year are down like 90%, 95%. And we believe that's due to one, like big altcoin dispersion, so too many tokens launching, and two, starting at a high FTV and locking everyone and locking the supply side. So much so that people sell their unlocks to try and get their money back, and then the price goes down, and then people start panicking and just sell every unlock. So for us, what's quite unique is that we don't have these big unlocks coming every month. Tokens are unlocked. If people don't want to be part of the ecosystem, they could just sell. And so I think that's way more attractive as a new token for investors, and I think that gives us quite a big competitive edge in the space.
All right. And full disclosure, I did buy some of this token because I was, bullish on this. And as an investor myself, I like that this is one of those projects that's tying all of gaming together. So it's not like betting on Off the Grid where you buy that token. If the game fails, you're shit out of luck. With XBorg and some other tokens that I really like, it's one, two, three games can fail, but as long as the whole industry is growing like it's been forever, basically, then I like the promise of what's coming for gaming and what Xborg is doing about that.
Exactly. Yeah, to add on to that, I think you've hit the nail on the head there. And bull or bear markets, we're growing quite rapidly because we're providing a ton of value to esports teams, which are some of the biggest gaming brands in the world, and scaling that out to more teams, more gaming brands. Now we're actually chatting to traditional brands that are delving into the gaming space. And like you said, we're not, a game that is betting on one play to win. Um, we are truly trying to capture the value, like a good chunk of the value that the gaming, industry creates. And quite quickly, we are creating, like right now, we are one of the biggest providers to tech providers in the esports industry already. And then we're moving on to like traditional brands or that are delving into the gaming sector, and then content creators as well, um, quickly capturing quite a bit of the value. And as we scale, what we've noticed is more brands want to work with us. So it's getting more, it's getting like easier to scale at this stage, which I think gives us a really good edge.
Awesome, awesome. Um, so what upcoming developments and features do you have planned? Whether it's coming soon or maybe even like a 5 year plan. Like, what's the future of Xborg look like?
Sure. So short term future of Xborg, we have about 3 teams that we've signed. Pretty big teams. Contracts have been signed in the last month. So we are onboarding them and we'll be launching their apps and announcing these partnerships relatively soon, within the next few months. So that's quite exciting on the product side. We have a few growth hacks that we are going to be doing on the token side. For us, we see Web3 projects as community, product, and token, and we like to build or be active in all 3 different sectors. So we'll be trying to grow product, but we also have a few growth hacks for the token, do some interesting things. So 2 proposals will be coming out for the token relatively soon, which I'm quite excited about. And we are kicking off a pretty big community expansion strategy in November. So quite excited about that as well. Medium term, we are moving into the content creator vertical. So we have created a product. We call it the Fan App SDK. So we've built a few custom white label applications for some esports teams, but now we've also built this SDK that basically allows teams to be a bit more autonomous and launch these applications a lot quicker. So that really will help with our partnership pipeline. We have like 20 teams waiting to work with us, and we'll be able to scale the app side and the user side much quicker with this. And this is coming out within the next month. So we're really excited about that, and we think that can grow the protocol tremendously. And then in the future, 1 year and more, what we'll do is we want to achieve network scale at about 1 million users, and then open the network up so that other developers can leverage the ID to create amazing experiences.
Oh, sorry about that.
All good. So that's really where we start going like exponential growth, and that's kind of our long-term plan. We also, there's a few apps that we want to build that leverage the ID, like just some of our favorite use cases, and perhaps a game. We recently we're chatting now about how cool would it be for us to build a game that leverages the ID, like the first game that gives players really personalized experiences. But that's the long term kind of view.
Awesome. So, how do you see Xborg like evolving the gaming industry? Like, when these Web 2 games, catch on to Xborg, they want to integrate it. Is this going to give them some more insight into what the Web3 technologies are? Are they going to be shifting more Web3? Are they going to see Xborg and be like, oh, we want to start making our assets NFTs and use blockchain technology? Or do you think a lot of them are just going to use it for what it is and keep their traditional gaming, status there? How do you see that looking?
Yeah, I think adoption is increasing. Um, Blockchain adoption is increasing within the gaming space. Just for example, in the last month, Team Liquid has onboarded about 10,000 fans. They're all using NFTs now for the first time on Sui. So that's awesome to see. These are real players. This isn't a Telegram, bot farm, bullshit. These are real players. They're playing real games like League of Legends, etc., and they're interacting with NFTs for the first time. So things are progressing within the space. We're pretty bullish on it. Quite excited for to basically allow developers to leverage the ID, whether that's within games or within applications. I think there's an infinite amount of use cases for player data, and really excited to see what people build.
Awesome. Yeah, so I'm super excited about this. I'm glad you came on. Thank you for coming on for this interview. Um, yeah, I think we're gonna have to catch up again in maybe a few months when we're deeper into the bull run and kind of get an update on what's going on with XBorg. But but yeah, thanks for coming on. I'll let you get the final words here if you got anything else to say, and that'll be it.
Awesome. Yeah, I really appreciate you for inviting me on. Yeah, great interview, great questions. So yeah, I'm very excited. We'll definitely have to come back. I think yeah, these next few months are going to be quite adrenaline filled, especially if Bitcoin continues to do what it's going to do. But yeah, thank you for having me, and I really appreciate it.
Yeah. Actually, so one more question before I let you go. For anyone who's watching this, who's maybe hearing about XBorg for the first time, what should be their first steps to getting involved in this?
Sure. I think if you are wanting to learn more about us, number one, perhaps join our community on Discord. We have a growing community that's quite lively, and full of like unique quirks.
Yep.
We play a
I'll
lot
get that and link it below.
Awesome. Yeah, we play a lot of games together, do some trading, do some investing. So it's a quite a little big family that we have going. Other than that, you can check out our website to learn more about us, perhaps our light paper if you're interested in some heavy reading. And then you can also check out some of our products. So I would suggest checking out My Blue. Team Liquid are rolling out a pretty big marketing campaign at the moment. So they've got tons of cool events going on within the app. And I think you can win quite a few prizes. They're giving out like Alienware, laptops, and all these kind of things. So go check that
Awesome.
out.
All right, so I'll get all those links for you. I'll drop them down below. But yeah, thank you.
Thank you, sir.